Okay, we're recording.
I'm going to go ahead and call to order the workshop. I call to order the workshop for Bullhead City Elementary School Board on Wednesday, November 20th, 2019 at 5:30. Secretary, please call the roll.
Diane Beersley.
Present.
Corey Burgess.
Present.
Jeannie Borland.
Present.
Doug Lutz. Brandy Dubois.
Okay, so Superintendent Evaluation 1.1.
I just wanted to give you all, again, some information for this process, which takes place next month. I had sent you these things a couple weeks ago, but I thought I'd bring them in if you wanted to ask any questions or have any comments about them, and I would just, briefly, because this is for next month. So, anyway, so I gave you a copy of the policy, our current policy. The underlines are mine, because I thought they were the critical points for, for our discussion for next month. And then a copy of the actual evaluation instrument that is in our policy. And Kim has it ready to come out to you electronically. Okay. And then I gave you a copy of that section in the law that is not discussed. And interestingly enough, I found out about this at a conference, a superintendent's conference, and I thought, are we the only place in the state not doing this? And learned, no, there are other places that are, lots of places aren't, but I could not find it in any district's policy. So I think because it's a part of, you can see this is section 39 of this 15-341. So there are all of these many 38 other descriptors of what you all are responsible and allowed to do up to that one, and then there are several others after that. So it's in the law, but somehow or other it's not ended up in policy anywhere, and I don't know that that's a problem. So it doesn't mean policy changes or anything, it just means for you to consider in terms of a contract, but this indicates that this has to happen. So whatever you all decide for that for next year. Corey was just asking me if these were typos here about 2008-2009 school year. Those are not typos. This is a cut and paste right out of the law. So the law was obviously written probably in 2007 or 2008. From this place where it says A on down is how this has to be, how superintendent's performance has to be evaluated unless the school district governing board votes to implement an alternative procedure at a public meeting called for this purpose. Okay, so that's why I underlined that. So that part doesn't have to be done next month. It's just that to be in compliance with this law, it needs to be done at some point in this year to modify my contract to comply with the law. Okay, and then I had offered to you a sample of a performance goal document to consider and change and modify and however you want to handle it in place of their 4 points. And so, so I'm just giving you these tonight, so again, so that you have some time between now and next month to review all of that. And this would be the kind of thing that we would agree on, or some other document, but I at least want to give you a sample of something to start with, as opposed to a blank sheet of paper. And as an alternative to this part of this law. And of course, this doesn't get completed until the end of the year, the end of the contract, for y'all to decide. So, and if you have questions, you want to have other discussion about that between now and, or any of this between now and next month.
Okay. Now we're going to, you guys have any conversation, any suggestions, questions? Okay. We will move on to school board self-evaluation.
Kim put these together today, the summaries for you, and so I suspect you haven't had a yesterday and late yesterday.
Yes.
I got mine had submitted earlier and then she said
And
it
maybe it
didn't, so
didn't
then I
go through. I
redid
did the
it
same
again
thing, so
too.
pop this
So
in.
when she sent out a second email with it, I did
Did
it
it again.
again.
So,
Shall we just go through them?
the policy is that you discuss them and however you all wanna deal with it.
Do you want me to just read them?
If you want, whatever you wanna do. Or if you want a little time to look at them for a couple of minutes,
I
we
think we
can
can go
discuss
through
them,
them
we can go
as-
through them, it doesn't matter.
We're not gonna change, you know, I mean, we're not gonna, so A, board relationship with the superintendent, the board imparts information on issues, needs, and complaints in a manner allowing the superintendent the opportunity to solve related problems in a professional manner. And so, we have, satisfactory, needs improvement, or unsatisfactory, and 3 all voted for satisfactory. And there was
There were only
3 responses, sorry.
Yeah.
So, and the next one, do you guys have any questions on that? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think it's fine.
We may feel one way and she may feel a different way, you know?
The board clearly interprets its position on controversial matters pertaining to the district, thereby enabling the superintendent to properly carry out the wishes of the board. We all said satisfactory.
You guys make it real clear to me, that's good.
The board disregards personalities and considers the recommendations of the superintendent in an unbiased and objective manner. We had 2 that needs improvement and 1 unsatisfactory. Questions, comments?
Yeah,
I don't have any
I put needs
comments.
improvement, I think we need improvement.
The board communicates views of personnel effectiveness, including views related to the superintendent, in a confidential and professional manner. 3 responses. We had 2 satisfactory and 1 needs improvement. And I'm just gonna keep reading unless someone wants to interject. So I don't have to ask you guys each time. The board recognizes that the citizens have entrusted them with the educational development of the children in the youth of this community. We had 3 that said needs improvement. The board recognizes that the community expects their first and greatest concern to be in the best interest of each and every one of the young people without distinction as to who they are or what their background may be. We had 2 that said satisfactory and 1 that said needs improvement. The board enacts policies supporting the,
Can we,
yep,
can we talk? about
sure,
that?
that is, I just didn't want to keep
Well,
waiting.
okay, I know,
As
I'm
said.
sorry, like this one up here, entrusted them with educational development of the children and youth of this community. Obviously, everybody said needs improvement, what can we do to improve that?
I think you all need to answer that. I mean,
Did you,
this was
I'm
you
assuming us
all
3 are the
did
ones who
it.
completed the survey, did you complete this? Okay. I mean, we all feel it needs improvement, how do we improve on that?
I think, on my opinion, I think when we have things brought to the board or in executive sessions, we're dealing with the challenges that are brought to us and making us aware of situations. And so we're showing the community that we're taking some action on certain things. And I'm not just talking about specific like that, but that's one example that comes to my mind. Like, we show the community because we are dealing with problems that are coming our way. I don't remember, I have notes at home, I didn't bring with me. Any other conversation?
We always gotta take what's going on with kids and what our role here is as the utmost. We're not always the best about communicating that in the meeting and with people in the community, so it
Yeah, I
definitely
agree.
needs to be improved.
I agree. So if there are specific things we should be doing or could be doing that.
Or like the
Help us with
safety,
that.
well, in regards to, and back to that, like the behavior policies, the safety of our campuses, but yeah, I don't know how.
I mean, I think we're doing it, but it's a process.
Thank you.
And it can be improved.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Do you have a question on the board recognizing the community expects their first and greatest concern?
Could I say
Oh,
something
yes,
on that?
please.
I want to compliment you as board members on really what I see as you all being really honest about that. I mean, I'm not sure any of us could ever say that we do that particular item, me included. You know, I'd like to say I do it satisfactorily, but I always know I need improvement. So
Yeah.
I appreciate the fact that you all recognize that while you're really striving for that there's room for growth. So I don't know, I don't see that as a negative kind of, I see that as honesty.
I didn't see it as negative, I just didn't know.
It is. I think
how
it's
we
honest.
could,
It's honest.
what could we do to make it
About
better?
educational development.
Well, I think,
And
one of the
well-being.
things that I will tell you is, you know, I gave you a suggestion for the agenda for January. Jen and I really would like an opportunity to have a nice workshop, a rather lengthy workshop, to really bring you up to speed on where we are academically and instructionally in the district. And neither one of us has felt particularly competent to do that up to this point because we were still gathering data and learning and those kinds of things. But by January, we're gonna have good solid data for you and some plans, because all our schools are in the process of writing new plans and you know, setting goals and laying out where we're going, short term and long term. So maybe if you were to do this, maybe when you do this next year, you'll give yourselves a little higher score.
And this is open, right? People
It
can
is,
take it.
absolutely. This is public record.
So interject. in those comments.
So, I'm sorry.
No, yeah,
mean,
no, I want you to
just
type,
think-
if anybody wants to type up, but I just didn't want to.
I mean, I don't think there's any sense in the survey if we don't talk about it.
That's right, you need to talk about it.
Well, I mean, and I think that falls on our curriculum too, that we sent, you know, you guys down and we had already purchased that curriculum before and you guys put it in place, or, you know, I think that's a good thing that we're continuing to strive. All right, so anybody else? Okay, and so we are on the board and acts policies, right?
Mhm.
Okay. Or did you have questions about what the community expects?
No, I put satisfactory. I mean, I feel like for those that voice what they want, the more people with the problems need to talk to us, we can fix things if they're not brought to our attention.
The board enacts policies supporting the efforts of the administration and helping the people of this community have the facts about their schools, to the end that they will readily provide the finest possible school programs, school staff, and school facilities. We have 1 satisfactory and 2 needs improvements.
I mean, I feel like we can enact all the policies we want to support those efforts, but I mean, we don't always get what we need from the state to readily provide the finest possible
Right.
school program and school staff and, I mean, it's
You know,
not.
people don't understand that, and we
Right.
can communicate that better.
I mean, we can do it the best we can with what we have.
Yeah, I was curious
So
about
I
the
kind of
response,
put,
so you
I mean,
clarified that. That's good to know.
needs improvement, but it's not necessarily on our, I mean, it can be on our end, but I think we do the best with what we have.
But getting that out to the public is
Yeah.
where we can definitely improve. Is letting them know that this, hey, some things our hands are tied on. some
But
things
getting
we
the
can't.
public to be interested in these things instead of complaining about them are two different things.
Well, I'll certainly work on that, you know, because it's important that people know those things and know how we're funded as well, because I've had several people say to me, well, I'll talk to the city council about, you know, helping you get things. Well, that's a whole different governmental agency or body, and so, you know, part of informing the public is helping them understand that the school districts are an independent structure, you know, governmental structure, and don't, you know, not connected with some of those others. So I did not work on that too.
On to board relationships between members during meetings. Individual members of the board treat other members of the board and professional staff with respect during board meetings. 3 as unsatisfactory.
I mean, pretty sure it defines itself. Not as bad as high school, but
Any more comments?
definitely could be improved.
Differences of opinion influencing board member votes are based on the issues at hand and not on personality basis. 2 satisfactory and 1 unsatisfactory.
I put satisfactory. I think that even though there may be personality differences, when it comes down to making decisions for the kids, the decisions are made in the best interest of the schools.
I think that we need to always keep that in mind, and there's been times where it's been, where we get a little bit off track on where we were before and where we're heading now, and we need to focus on what's going on in our school today and how we're moving forward.
All members of the board conduct themselves in such a manner as to emphasize the individual board members have the authority only when convened in a legally conducted board meeting with at least one quorum present. Two satisfactory and one unsatisfactory.
I put satisfactory,
Always
so
have
I
a
don't
quorum.
know. I don't.
Well, we couldn't have a meeting if there were not a quorum, so.
Right.
All members of the board conduct themselves in such a manner as to emphasize the individual board members have authority only when convened in a legally conducted, this was the same one.
Well,
Same
it's,
question twice.
uh,
It is
Yeah,
exactly, because I read it word for word.
It
to make
is
Sure,
the
it was
same.
the same, I'm like.
Yeah, that was my bad, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I doubled
So-
it.
I know, I read that one twice, I'm like, huh?
I'm horrible when I read
I'm checking to see if I answered the same twice.
Sorry.
it.
Board relationships with staff and personnel. The board requires the superintendent to recommend personnel for their consideration and consistency adheres to this procedure. We put 3 satisfactories. The board members, any questions?
Thank you for the compliment.
Board members make every effort to become acquainted with personnel of the district, and we put 3 needs improvement.
Which is true, I mean, I get out there when I can, but we all have busy schedules, but I think we can always do better.
The board members' personal friendships with the district personnel are maintained without allowing them to affect overall board decisions and or policies. We put 2 satisfactory and 1 needs improvement. Board
Kim does, you know, I don't know who put what, which is
I-
good.
Yeah,
I'd rather
I
not
put,
know.
no, I put satisfactory, I mean,
I thought I put satisfactory on that, but then maybe I put needs.
Maybe,
Okay.
don't know.
I
I
don't know.
mean, it's kind of an awkward situation when every one of us has worked with pretty much all the personnel, so
Exactly.
it kind of just all kind of flows, but I don't feel there's an issue.
And that, so you know, that's fairly typical in smaller communities. It's almost impossible for anybody to be a board member in this community and not know, not have friendships with people who are employed by the district, not just
Or
teachers,
have
but
been
other
employed
employees.
by the district
Or have
too.
been in the past, so, yeah,
Yeah.
it's impossible.
Board relationships to the instructional program. The board makes an effort to keep informed about the instructional program by providing for periodic reports as deemed necessary and by periodic visitation in the schools. We put needs improvement. I think we're informed, you guys do a great job of letting us know the data, but as far as getting out to the schools.
That's what makes it hard is the periodic visitations.
Yeah.
So that's,
And thank you for explaining that, because this really is 2 questions.
In one, yeah.
In one, and that's true for several of these, and so when you clarify like that, it helps me know what I might need to do differently and what things I might not have control over.
I
So
marked
thank
needs
you.
improvement because I feel like I could make I don't know how, I'm time right now, but maybe in January.
The board attempts to gain information from the community pertaining to its instructional program needs. We put 1 needs improvement and 2 unsatisfactory. I honestly don't
I
remember
feel
what
like I might have put on
there.
satisfactory because I don't think we've attempted to gain information from them.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't feel like we've made any effort to ask the community.
And one of the things that we're working on, one of the things that Jen's working on with community outreach is getting feedback, yes.
Yeah, when I went to some training a couple weeks ago, and that's one thing that was kind of an aha to me too, was that we work in the schools, we know how they work, and we look at, if a parent can't come to the conference or something, we're not looking as to why. Sometimes, unfortunately, it just goes to, well, they just don't care, or, we have our thoughts aren't always on the, on the positive. And so what we think is often different than what our parents are thinking, or what we provide as a district or as schools to our parents is not always what the parents want or need. Because we're here and they're there, and we have to figure out a way to meet in the middle. So they suggested, doing surveys or something to find out what our community and our parents really do want us to provide.
We recognize that as an issue for us as well, needing improvement. So, and then if you recall, when I was hired, one of the discussions we had was strategic planning. And so that's still on my plate in terms of setting up, a team to do long-term strategic planning, roll out a 3 to 5 year plan, and then set it up so that we review it each year and add one more year on the end of it. And that's the point at which we really want some community involvement in that plan, you know, so that everybody knows where we're going and they have input into where we're going as a district. So we recognize that's one of our needs improvements too.
The board maintains policies necessary to enable the educational staff to develop the educational program required to meet the needs of the community, and we put all three needs improvement.
I mean, I think we're 2 steps further than we were last year. I mean, I feel like everything is improving, but I feel like it's still got a ways to go, yeah.
Okay. And that helps us too, thank you.
The board establishes the policies and provides the necessary resources to properly manage the finances of the district. We put 2 needs improvement and 1 unsatisfactory.
I think I did too, but I feel like it was back to the state. I feel like it's just not necessarily us as much as it goes back to funding from the state. And
Okay. Because I wanted feedback from you all on that, if I'm not doing what you want me to do or need me to do, or if there are other issues, so. You definitely have policies.
I just think a lot of it, when it came to the finances end of it, isn't necessarily on us or on the district specifically, but
It is on
just,
us when we make the decision to purchase or,
yeah.
I mean, but not the I mean, that's part of our managing, but properly being accountable in the business end of it, you're right, yeah.
If when you review your notes,
And I think too, part of that on me was knowing more about the budget and the finance end of it, not necessarily like a district issue, but a me issue.
so maybe,
We call network Meagles.
Well,
some more, maybe some workshop ideas, or going
Right.
over how the budget is structured and how it's decided.
I think when you explain the line items, you explain it clearly, I think.
Yes.
Oh,
Prior
okay.
to that, it was not clear, like, I wasn't understanding.
Okay.
So I think when you, the way you explain it, I understand it more.
And I can say from January when we got on the board, this school year has been better.
Okay.
There has been improvements, there is more things lined out for us, more things explained. It's better, it's getting better, but I still think I need to know.
I think we can definitely improve managing of the finances too and how we
Yeah.
spend that money.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing, is because that is one of our biggest things, is taking care of how each tax dollar is spent. And
Absolutely.
then, you know, because the policies are basically written for us by ASBA, and then we adopt those policies. So those should be fairly good policies. There's always some things that can be improved on, but I think we gotta be real careful on how we manage the money we spend.
And to that, it also means that I need to share with you what maybe in more detail, what I've learned, having looked at last year's and how it was spent and how we're trying to land out for this year. Would that be helpful?
Absolutely.
Okay. So maybe a comparison.
Yeah.
Okay.
The board requires the proper accountability for the expenditure of funds in the district. We put 3 needs improvement.
Like for me, like the first example that came to my head was like with the bus barn air conditioning, you
Okay.
know, versus how we stated the motion, how we interpreted the motion, and how
And
it
how
played
I
out.
interpreted it.
So to me, that's what came to my mind, in that we need to maybe better word things so that everybody's on the same page and understanding when we're making those decisions.
Bus barn was my same thing too.
Yeah,
You know, like if we'd have handled that better, that goes back to the managing of finances.
yeah.
Okay.
What could we have got had we managed it better?
Okay.
The board provides justified funding to maintain a high-quality educational program in the district. We put 3 needs improvement.
I mean, that to me went right back to funding. Do we even have enough funding? I mean, we don't have the funding, so.
But I think we have a good step forward
We
with,
do.
like, I just keep thinking about the curriculum and I want to step on that, but
I
I
know.
appreciate the
Because
fact
we
that
haven't had it for so
Right,
long.
right. The board keeps the community informed about the financial needs of the district. We have 1 needs improvement and 2 unsatisfactory.
I think we got a lot of people here who are more than willing to help where needed, but many times they don't know how to help or where to help. And if we could tell them what we need, people are willing to step up and help. This community is really good about helping take
Yes,
care of
it
the
is.
education of the kids.
Mhm.
But if they don't know, you just to say, oh, the school needs more money, that's not a good answer to give. But if you say, hey, we're working on this new program and it's gonna cost X number of dollars to fund, people say, oh, I can get behind that. So
Okay.
if we have a better plan of how we're gonna approach that with the community, I think we can get a lot farther.
I agree.
Okay.
All right, list in order of priority the 4 major problems the board faces. The board needs to focus more on the education of the kids and not personal agendas. The old regime is out, it's time to move on. And then I put transparency, school safety, highly qualified teachers, and professionalism.
And you're not obligated to read all these out loud if you don't want. And I just thought to say that. The other thing is that I will tell you that after Kim did this today, she did learn that she could have put the comments with the specific items, and that she would do that the next time, but she didn't know that when she.
Lack of
First
professional.
There wasn't a place to put comments, cause I would put
Yeah.
comments with the questions,
Yeah.
because
Oh,
there were plenty of,
oh, I thought there were.
and these were separate,
Oh,
these were
there
separate,
is.
these were
Oh,
separate
really?
questions.
Mhm.
And
I could have
would
added,
liked to have
I
been
could have
able
added
to
that,
make a
but I didn't know
comment
that.
in
Oh,
areas.
she could have done it.
Yeah,
when she
which
set
would
it
be
up.
nice,
So
because then
next
we
time,
can say.
then we
could
could
be
say,
the
and then you would know
comments.
why we're answering the way we're answering.
Yeah.
There's
yeah.
no place to put that.
Yeah, this was her first time through with it, and so
Right.
she told me, when she handed me my copy, she said, I could have done that and I didn't know to do it, and so I would do it, so.
Mhm.
The last one just says lack of professionalism, teacher retention, quality staff, better understanding of the budget and vendors.
Could I ask a question for all of you to help me, the comment about, a problem that you face about transparency? I know that's been an issue that you wanted me to address, and I've been trying to do that, but is this a message to me that I continue to need to do a better job of that?
No, I just think we are coming along,
Okay,
but it's like, in this situation, it would need improvement.
okay,
That's
that's fine. Yeah, I'm just trying to know if there are messages here for me, to improve, what I've already been trying to do and maybe have not done as successfully as I should have.
List any weaknesses you have observed in the operation of the school system. Teacher retention, grade banding, discipline. The other ones are classroom management, lack of effective teachers, poor family involvement, student attitudes and behaviors, state funding. Questions or comments? List any significant accomplishments made by the school system during the past year. The school district has juggled the conflicts brought upon them by the board in the best possible way. Grade scales, teacher pay scale, admin leadership team. This one says
Sorry, I wrote a paragraph.
balanced teacher salaries, math and language arts curriculum, balanced grading scale committees that involve teachers, detailed IGAs, positive working relationships between both school districts, regular email communications, updating the board on current events and issues, enforce zero tolerance discipline, allowing staff to have allowing staff, that would be great, staff to have voice and feel like they matter.
I think we've had a lot of
Right.
accomplishments.
And I really like the admin teams, and that's why I threw that in there as far as having the input from the sites with their ideas, their suggestions, their communication.
What is the name of that group you did with the teachers that come in? I could not remember for the life of me.
With the teachers there.
Pay like
Meet and
$3.
confer, thank
Yes.
you, meet and confer.
Oh, meet
I
and
could
confer.
not
Oh,
remember
yes,
if that was
meet
the
and
one I
confer.
wanted, but.
Yeah, we haven't actually met yet, but that's coming up.
Okay.
And, I had to explain what that was.
But they're talking about it,
They are,
so,
they are, and Prop 301 committee is met, and it will be meeting again, either this Friday, if is this a PD Friday? No, next week, next
No,
week.
not next week, we don't.
No,
have
not
the
next
sixth.
week, the
The
following
sixth.
week. So, so there are conversations. Yeah, your meeting's at 6.
Okay, so I would just like to say before I do adjourn the meeting that I appreciate you being here for the board doc review, and we are gonna move on to our board meeting at this time, but we will, reach out to you if we have questions, and I thank you for being here. I'm so sorry we're out of time. So, let's see. Can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll move to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Jeannie Borland,
Aye.
Diane Beardsley. Aye. Corey Burgess.
Aye.
Sorry, Kim.
That's okay.
I'm sorry. I call to order the regular meeting of Bullhead City Elementary School Board on Wednesday, November 20th, 2019 at 6 p.m. Secretary, please call the roll.
Diane Beardsley,
Present.
Corey Burgess,
Here.
Jeannie Borland,
Here.
Doug Lutz, Brandy Dubois.
Thank you. Any citizens present, please do make sure that you sign in at the back of the room. We appreciate you attending our meeting. And will you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have any call to the public? No call to the public tonight. So we are moving on. Adoption of the agenda. Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda?
I'll move we adopt the agenda.
Second?
Diane Beardsley,
Yes.
Corey Burgess,
Aye.
Jeannie Borland.
Aye.
Superintendent reports, 2.7.
It's my pleasure to ask the board to consider the proclamation relative to our wonderful employees in our joint Colorado River schools who were nominated for and/or won the awards for community achievement for the Laughlin Chamber of Commerce CAA. So if you would read the proclamation, it's on the bottom of there, and then decide how you want to present these. So, do you want me to read and you present? That would
Sure.
be great. Why don't you go present? That would be awesome. Okay, I'm going to read and the board president will present. Proclamation of the Colorado River Schools Consortium, Bullhead City Elementary School District, number 15, Colorado River Union High School District number 2. Whereas the Laughlin Chamber of Commerce recently hosted its 22nd Annual Community Achievement Awards, and whereas the CAAs recognize our tri-state community's best of the best, and whereas the Bullhead City Elementary and Colorado River Union High School districts had students, faculty, and staff nominated as finalists and chosen as winners by a cross-section of community leaders, and whereas each nominee was required to submit biographical data, participate in an interview with the judges, be selected as a finalist in his or her respective category, and by private ballot be selected and recognized, the governing boards of the Bullhead City Elementary and Colorado River Union High School districts hereby recognize the following finalists: Sarah Bosselman, Mojave High School Earth Science and Honors Earth Science teacher, Kiwanis Key Club advisor. Is Sarah here?
No, she's not here.
Okay. Gina Covert, Colorado River Union High School Career Technical Education Director, former River Valley teacher, and former assistant principal, Bullhead City and Fox Creek Junior Highs. Craig Evans, Mojave High School government teacher and National Honor Society sponsor, alumnus, Bullhead City Elementary, Mountain View School, Bullhead City Junior High, and Mojave High School. Young Wonder finalist for a student in grades K through 11, Ethan Fromm, River Valley High School, National Awards winner in Skills USA, and recipient of a Gold Presidential Volunteer Service Award. Connie Davis, Youth Citizen of the Year for a senior. The finalists receiving $500 college scholarships, and all three are National Honor Society members. Caleb Faring, Mojave High School's student body president, former Bullhead City Elementary School student at Coyote Canyon, Sunrise, and Fox Creek Junior High, including student government at Sunrise. Hannah Gutowski, River Valley High School Skills USA Officer, National Bronze Award for Community Service, former Bullhead City student at Coyote Canyon. Mallory Moss, River Valley High Student Body President, Captain of the Speech and Debate Team. Educator of the Year, winner Kathleen Watson, math teacher and volleyball coach, Fox Creek Junior High, softball coach, River Valley High School. Lloyd Shires, Tourism Award, winner Ed Catalfamo, General Manager, Colorado River Union High School District's Anderson Auto Group Fieldhouse. Communications Award winner, Lance Ross, Director, Public and Community Relations, excuse me, Lance, Public Information Officer for both districts. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the governing boards of the Colorado River Union High School District and Bullhead City Elementary District show our appreciation for our Community Achievement Award finalists and winners. Congratulations.
Can you get in the picture? Okay, the middle. I'll look through the data. It's fine. I got it.
Congratulations to all of you. And for those who were not present at the crushed board meeting on Monday night, many of the other award winners were there. Lance tells me that the River Valley students who were planning to be here were having transportation issues due to the flooding on the highways, so we can understand why maybe they are not here. Thank you.
Thank you for the proclamation, and congratulations to all. On to the Building and Transportation Report.
Are there any questions about that report?
Any questions?
No.
Nope. Moving on to Attendance, Enrollment, and Discipline Report. Any questions?
Yeah.
I just didn't know if you
Questions?
were
I'm
gonna-
sorry. I wanted to give you a second to look at it.
No, okay. Enrollment comparisons.
Where's that one?
Previous years maybe?
Day 1 through 60.
Days 1 through 60. Can't believe we're already past 60 days.
Oh, my goodness.
And you can see our enrollment is staying pretty steady. Any other questions about that? Okay.
Financial report.
As I indicated to you in my memo, we had our annual audit 2 weeks ago, and then I also was preparing for the Senate hearing for the performance audit, and so we've been very focused this past month on processes and procedures as opposed to actual dollars and cents. So I thought you would appreciate having both of those reports.
Okay, so miscellaneous updates, unless you guys have any questions.
No.
Miscellaneous updates, ASBA bylaw receipt.
We included that because we wanted you to know that that actually had been sent in. Kim did get a receipt from ASBA that it had happened. And I asked her to make sure you got that because when I was at the ASBA legislative workshop on Friday, as soon as I walked in the door, one of the ASBA people came up and said, has your board voted? Has your board voted? So we wanted to be sure that you know that that actually had happened. The only other updates I have for you are that I did attend active shooter planning, emergency planning session today with the chief of police and superintendents from other districts, as well as the dean from the college. So we're beginning a process of making sure that we have coordinated plans, not just within school districts, but across school districts. And then today we had weather-related issues. We had flooding in cafeterias at the middle school and Fox Creek, and we had some other, not flooding, but dripping and leaks and those kinds of things on some of our sites. So ABM was very busy this morning out trying to fix things.
Talking about flooding, how was the bus routes? I mean, that all handled well this morning.
I think it went okay. There was a
Parkway.
section of the parkway that was closed this morning, so that required some rerouting of some buses, and I suspect that some of them were late arriving at pickup points and then at the schools as well, but transportation adapted and moved on.
Good.
And I guess the other thing I would report to you, that after 5.5 weeks, the gas at Desert Valley finally got turned on yesterday? Monday. And Alex and Stella are here from Chartwell's. I'm glad they're here, but I want to publicly recognize and thank them for all of the flexibility and creativity that their teams had to go through to provide meals for 3 sites, since we could not use any gas gas items in the production kitchen at Desert Valley.
All right, on to 2.7. District calendar of events, November 23rd, PTO Holiday Bazaar. And I might just add that I love that every year. You guys do an awesome job. And I unfortunately won't be here this year, but it's a great bazaar, great for the community. December 3rd, 21st Century Parent Community Night, Mojave County Health Department, My Plate, My Family, Healthy Eating at 6 p.m. Is that held at
It's at the field house.
the field house? Is it free for families, or that's cool? That's awesome. Good job. December 5th, Amplify Science Program presentation at 4 p.m. Where's that at?
That'll be here. We are working on, the curriculum committee is working on the adoption of a science curriculum for next year. So this is one of the vendors who will be here to do a presentation. And then after the presentation, we have some teachers who will be piloting the program.
Oh, great. Good job. December 6th, Great Minds Math Workshop, presentation and customization. And is that here at the DO also?
The sixth through eighth grade will be here, and then Desert Valley will be hosting two for the kindergarten through 5th grade.
December 10th, 21st Century, Parent Community Night, Cynthia Newsel, Empathy, Caring About Yourself and Others at 6:30 p.m. Where's that going to be?
It's at the field house. All of our bills are at the field house.
Okay. December 17th, Parent Community Night, David Spack Foundations of Investing, 6:30 p.m. We are on to 2.8, donations. So thank you to all who donate to our schools. We really appreciate it. Desert Valley received $400 from River Valley Artists Guild for Ancient Civilization, Holly Hamilton. $10.96 from Follett School Solutions for consignment buybacks. Fox Creek, $600 from River Valley Artists Guild towards orchestra for the purchase of music stands. McKinney Vento has received $1,840 from the Chamber of Commerce. Bullhead City Middle School, $200 from Papa John's Legacy Pizza. $334.91 from Panda. $50 from Thunder Mountain Dentistry, 2 full backpacks filled with school items. $190 from Wells Fargo, Your Cause. And $28 donation check from JP Morgan and Chase Company. Thank you to all who donated. That was awesome. 2.9 board member updates. Any updates? Okay. 3.1 minutes from previous meeting.
This is
And we need
actually
a
part
motion
of
to
the,
approve
this
it.
is all the
Oh,
consent
sorry,
agenda.
I didn't see that at the top,
New format, so
I know.
we're all learning.
which is item 3, consent agenda. I have questions that we didn't get to on the consent agenda. So, I mean,
Probably 3.3 personnel.
yeah, but I mean, can,
Stipend was it? We didn't talk about that.
Stipends are in old business because of the questions that you all had.
Okay, so they're not on the consent.
Not on the consent agenda.
sorry,
No.
I thought that, okay, never mind. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll move we approve consent agenda.
Second.
Diane Beardsley,
Yes?
Corey Burgess,
Aye.
Jeannie Borland.
Aye.
Okay, let me just find my spot real quick. So it's 4. Old
Yes.
business, okay, thank you. Old business. Admission of resident students, 4.1, policy JFAA.
This was the policy
Right,
that you had the first
second.
reading last month. And Kim provided you this time with the actual sentence that's being changed.
18
It's just
years.
changing one word in the entire policy.
Okay. I make a motion, we approve policy JFAA.
I'll second.
Diane Beardsley,
Yes?
Corey Burgess,
Aye.
Jeannie Borland.
Aye.
4.2, use of district IGA, corrected version. I see we have that up here. Recommended action we want to discuss on this IGA for Colorado River District Office Consortium.
Madam President, last month when you approved all of the IGAs, I inadvertently sent you a copy with some changes that had been more consistent with the changes you requested relative to Coyote Canyon. And 2 of you justifiably mentioned to me the next day, well, Jeannie the same night, but that it wasn't the one that you all had considered. So even though that original one was, or not the original, the one that was approved last month is the one that got attached to the agenda for people to look at, accidentally, I'm offering back to you the one that was the original version that you had at least verbally approved, not as a vote, but in the discussions that we'd had with the high school board, and that you had had in your own workshop. So the issue is item 5, Roman numeral 2A2, which has to do with holding each district accountable for the cost of utilities and insurance for and refuse collection for the sites that are actually used. So our district would pay for this building, Suite 100. The high school district would pay those things for Suite 200, and then we would split the warehouse cost 60-40. So that was the original document that you all had earlier. So what you can choose to do here is approve this version as opposed to the one that went out with the agenda, if that's what you choose to do.
Any discussion?
Nope. I move we approve the consortium for the district offices.
Second.
Diane Beardsley,
Yes.
Corey Burgess,
Aye.
Jeannie Borland.
Aye. Thank you for changing that one.
Thank you.
You are welcome. I'm sorry I made the error.
On to 4.3, extra duty pay. We have a couple changes on here with Desert Valley, which we see.
And those were just typos, so
Oh.
you know, those were just typos.
I do have a question, and I understand your email response, but I just don't see a need for an athletic director at a school where we do not have traveling sports teams. I mean, we have clubs, we have coaches, we're paying stipends, that's just something that I don't really see a need for. I'm not sure how you guys feel, but
When I was kind of looking at it, I mean, I agree with that, but I also didn't understand why we were having the stipends for like the chess club, the art club. I mean, all those clubs happen at the other schools without a stipend, but at the middle school, they're requesting the stipend.
Madam President, when I presented to you I believe in August, the list of positions for extra duty pay, I listed a number of specific positions that had existed in the district in the past. And then, with your approval of that list, I had in there some extra dollars for, particularly for the middle school and for Desert Valley, because they were not getting the 21st Century Grant this year. And that they could choose, those sites could choose how they wanted to use those dollars. So if they chose to have a chess club, or they chose to have a pet club, I made that up, but if they chose to have a club that was of interest to their students, that they could choose to do that and use those funds. As I recall, it was $2,500 or $3,000 for each site, and they could choose to lay that out however they wanted. So that's how you got some of those things, like a chess club at one site, and maybe not at another site. One of the things that Mrs. Lott and I have done is to make sure, now that we are getting the 21st Century funds for those two schools, we are going to make absolutely sure that as they set up those programs for those two sites, that if these clubs are part of 21st Century, that then these stipends will go away. We're not going to allow anybody to double dip. And the truth is that the pay for supervising any of those 21st Century programs after school is much better than we pay for these kinds of clubs. Because it's laid out in the grant that folks are paid $35 an hour for 21st Century things. So we will make absolutely certain that there's no double dipping, that there's no double pay for anybody for the same tasks.
okay, that's great, and I'm glad we got that for 21st Century, which is going to eliminate a lot of this funding. However, if we have the same person that's being paid for athletic director, and he's the same coach for hockey, basketball, we've got him on there a couple times, softball, I think he's lined out what he needs to do. I don't know. I have an issue with that. And I know it's menial, but it's relative to the point. The purpose is.
Well, and he's not, I mean,
He's-
if
we're not
if he's
traveling,
coaching,
we're
he's
not-
not traveling, he's not planning games, he's not working on schedules, he's not.
He is doing those things. I gave you his job
So-
description. I sent
He's
that to
traveling?
you. Not so much traveling, but we do have some of the intramural things, some of the activities. They are in fact planning to have competition with some other middle school age students in the area. I'm guessing at the charter schools and, locally, I don't think they're talking about going to Kingman or Havasu or anything like that. I didn't ask him specifically because I haven't talked to him specifically. But he is arranging those. Plus, he's the one who sets up all of the schedules for the intramurals. He has to make sure that all of the equipment and everything is ready. As a former principal, I will tell you that two of the things that were listed in the job description that I received from Mrs. Pietri were that were significant to me as a former principal. One is that he is the one who is at all of the after-school athletic events. As a former principal, I always tried to be there because somebody administrative needed to be there to kind of supervise things. And that's sometimes difficult when you have IEP meetings and appointments with parents and those kinds of things. So as a principal, I appreciate the fact that there's somebody who's going to be present for those. And the other one is to have someone who's in charge of coordinating any outside use of our facilities. There are documents that have to be done, and there's somebody has to be there when outside groups use our facilities. So, and I guess beyond that, one of the things I would say, Madam President, is that this was a position that was in that whole list of just positions, nobody's names attached to them, that I asked for your approval as a board in August. And so it seems to me unfortunate for us to consider eliminating one of those positions that you all approved earlier. But of course I will do whatever the board wants.
I don't know that we approved it. I thought we set it for a workshop.
Not in August, you actually approved
The funding for,
all of these positions.
I don't recall that, but that's fine. I mean, I don't.
I recall arguing in August too.
Yeah,
so-
and I don't recall it being approved.
I
I'm
just felt
It was
like-
discussed, you were
Yeah,
you
I
were
remember
correct. That
arguing in
particular
August,
position
so-
was argued, yes, it was, but the entire list was approved. And one of the things that I said to you at the time was I was making a guess on the amounts of money. I kept them pretty close to what they had been in the past. And my suggestion is that these amounts of money be discussed as part of meet and confer.
Also, I mean, I don't see the issue personally with the athletic director's position because there's a lot of work involved in it. So it is a pretty big job to take on. Secondly, it's already been going on. So if it is something we want to change, I think it's something that we need to change if that is a decision made to be adjusted, not just eliminated. And then maybe eliminating it for next year because the job has been, we've already finished our fall sports. So we're already through that. So that if that's the route that we decide to go, then I think that's something we have to take under consideration. But personally, I'm okay with the athletic director position.
What are the music addendums?
Those folks are expected to do a number of programs, evening programs and prepare for those kinds of things. And I believe particularly at the junior high, they also compete in at least one junior high competition. Now, don't hold me to that because I don't know that specifically, but I seem to recall having signed a travel request for something similar to that.
So does that get paid at the elementary level too? Because I know that they do quite a few different music programs at, I know Sunrise was really big in their music programs. Diamondback does quite a few. And
And that
assuming
would have-
Desert Valley does.
And that would have been one of the things that the site could have determined for the use of those extra funds.
So the music addendums were site determined, not district determined?
For the middle school and for Fox Creek, they were on the existing list from previous years. Just as a point of information, Madam President, I would point out that the addendum documents for every one of these positions has been on hold pending approval of the entire list. And for some of these folks whose commitments are already completed, you know, they are breathlessly awaiting your decisions.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and I understand that. I just,
I think,
I-
sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
no,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
I just didn't realize, I mean, I had brought it up in August, and we argued it, and I didn't think it was approved, and it may have been, but I just, and I get the position that the student, or the staff, and I get that position, I honestly do.
And I'm not saying I don't think the music addendum should be in there, but I know at the elementary level, if, you know, those music teacher, our teachers go to conferences how many times a year? That's expected of them. So in my opinion, as a music teacher, that's their parent-teacher conference. Teachers have to go to those music programs too and hold their kids in the classroom on those nights and then walk them out to the cafeterias, and they're not getting paid extra to be there for that music program.
Those things that you're talking about are
Yeah.
available to them as points toward Proposition 301 payments. It's in the, you know, in the set of items that can be approved for some of that. So I understand what you're saying, and I agree that our teachers spend a lot of extra time, but there are some opportunities for reimbursement for some of those things.
I just think it's things we should do that for next year, at least put it
Pardon
down
me?
for next
Right.
year. I'm not saying
Sure.
take it away
Right.
right now, but
Right.
it's definitely, I mean, I feel the teachers all put that same time in for those concerts and activities.
Definitely.
I agree.
And specials teachers don't do conferences. You know how much prep goes into a conference? I mean, you do, it was a rhetorical question. Teachers don't get an addendum
So
for conferences, so.
I guess I would like to really see, regardless of whether we have names or not, unless, you know, if they're waiting for a name next year, I get that. I would like to see it broken out, you know, so that we can approve something well before school starts and well before these teachers or staff have, you know, exhausted their time and effort in these positions, because, yeah, they need to be reimbursed. I
Absolutely.
totally understand that. I just would like it broken out at the beginning of the year so that we all know what to
I
expect.
agree with that.
I agree. Maybe
Okay,
like
and
a
I
summer
think-
workshop.
I think for sure we can do that this year, because if
Well,
in
we're going
fact
to a
it should
lot.
be part of meet and confer, then that's the kind of thing that it would be on your agenda, not with names, but as
Right.
positions
Positions.
in probably April. I'm guessing March or April.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
And then it's real clear, and that way you have a real opportunity to help determine some of these numbers as hopefully the meet and confer committee also has an opportunity to put in some thoughts about the balance, because you know, I kind of rounded these numbers off. They were kind of strange numbers, like $1,123 or something, some weird numbers, and so I just kind of rounded them off. It was a guess at the time, but we can work on that way earlier this year than we did the current year.
That'd be great.
Ooh, sorry.
Then I would move we approve item 4.3.
Second.
Diane Beardsley,
Yes.
Corey Burgess,
Aye.
Jeannie Borland.
Aye.
New business. 5.1, rescind policy IKFA early graduation.
Madam President, this is the first reading, but I'll remind you that this is kind of in the same light as the policy that we talked about earlier, which had to do with graduation. And since we are a K through 8 district, graduation does not apply.
Okay, so we just move on.
Yes.
Wait
move
for a
on.
second reading. 5.2, adoption of proposed additional extra duty leadership positions.
in the process of reviewing the positions that you just approved. Fox Creek petitioned me to consider reinstatement of 2 positions that I had dropped off the list that I gave to you in August for grade level chairs. And their reasoning is that there are responsibilities and discussions and items that need to be handled at the grade levels in addition to those that are handled by departments. So I sent you the list of duties that Dr. Bond expects those folks to do. And so I do recommend that we reinstate those 2 positions. And then I'm also asking for approval for a position for Smart Snack Coordinator that we discussed relative to the wellness policy and the fact that there really needs to be somebody who makes some decisions for the district and who is the one clearinghouse person for all of those things. I don't see it as taking a huge amount of time. However, it would be really good to have just one voice answering all of those questions and issues and making sure that it's consistent throughout the district. Yeah, it could be me, but I think it would be better if it were staff.
On this 7th and 8th grade chair, is that currently filled? Is somebody doing this job?
Well, we had a little bit of a misunderstanding when I sent out the lists. Dr. Bond is a new principal, and of course the teachers said to her, oh, we also have these 2 positions. Now, no addendums have been offered to those people because no addendums have been given to anybody at this point. But they made the case to her, and initially I said no, and then she sent me the job, those job descriptions or the expectations, and when I looked those over, I realized that's a pretty good hefty task. They do meet weekly, just like the departments meet weekly. So it's a pretty good thing. So there are people who are functioning in those roles. Right now, nobody's being paid, and these 2 positions were not in the approved list. If they're not approved, then one of the things that I will do is go to the Prop 301 committee and request that they consider these positions as one of the ones, some of the positions that can get some points, so that these folks really can continue to do what they're doing, the responsibilities that they have. So we do have some other options.
Discussion? I hate to take away from 301, but I mean, they still need their hours, it would count for their hours, it's something that's gonna count, right? I mean, can we try that route, or should we,
Do we have the funding to pay those positions?
We do. When I gave you those original totals at the beginning, or in August, when I gave you all of the listing, we in fact were, those totals were less than they were last year. And this $3,100 will still keep us less than what we were paying for all of those extra duty addendums last year.
How long have we been doing this grade chair? Because I know the department chair we've always had, but having a specific grade chair, is this last couple of years?
I can't really answer that question, but I think it's been at Fox Creek certainly for several years. I don't recall whether I did it or not when I was principal at Bullhead Junior High. I frankly don't remember. But I think it's been for several years. Maybe somebody can answer. Catherine.
Can I come up?
Please, or Mrs. Bond or whatever.
So.
Pardon me?
Need the
Yeah,
microphone.
be sure to come to the microphone and identify yourself. Thank you.
So, hello, I'm Kathleen Watson. I am the current 7th grade chair. This is my 3rd year at Fox Creek, and we've had a grade level chair all 3 years, and from what I understand, they've had one before. Part of this job that we do is I'm kind of in charge of making sure that all these 7th grade teachers we don't have like a design curriculum in our advisory classes. So our students will make sure that we're doing growth mindset. We've designed our own curriculum. I've come up with binders for every teacher. And we also make sure that like for our assemblies, like every teacher has a duty spot, or if something happens and I have to go to a teacher and it's like, hey, you need to make sure you're here. We also make sure that we focus on behavioral and instructional concerns. So during our meetings, I make sure to kind of facilitate positive discussions on how to help particular students that might be struggling, or if we need to have discussions because certain home life issues are disrupting this student. So that's something that we make sure that we're facilitating that, because let's be honest, sometimes with teachers, you just kind of be like, oh, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad, but you also need someone there to be like, hey, so what can we do to help this kid? And right now, that's my role on the campus, and if you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer those for you.
Some of those duties and responsibilities are already part of the department chair, though.
Correct. So this might be problems like cross departments. So I might not be having a student or a problem in math, but they might be having a problem in social studies or science. And that grade level or that department chair might only be in one grade. So they're not kind of discussing these things across grade levels or across curriculums, sorry. So this is more of, that's why we have the 7th grade chair, because it's that cross-curricular discussions. So less focused on just math or just social studies, but what is the behavior of the students that we can help overall.
Okay, because I was at Bullhead Junior High, we didn't have it there. We had department chairs met every week. We discussed what was going on and that was where we got our cross-curriculum. And if we're meeting with our departments, whether I was 8th grade, I talked to my 7th and my 6th grade teachers, so I had that. So that's why my question was how long we've had this, because it's only been 3 years. It was 3 years ago we didn't have it at Bullhead, when it was still Bullhead Junior High. So that's why I was wondering when this came about.
And sometimes there have been different things at the 2 junior highs that now when they're melded, are different. I don't recall having it when I was at Bullhead Junior High either. I can argue it either way, so it sounds like they're pretty active. I will say that it sounds like they're also addressing some things that we're going to be bringing to you as the year goes along relative to making sure that our schools are trauma-sensitive schools. And so those issues of talking about what's going on in students' lives that affect their academic progress are things that we're really going to be focusing on more. That doesn't necessarily mean that we need a grade level chair, at junior high or not, but it's the kind of thing that she's addressing already, kind of thing that we are moving toward for everybody.
I think it's great. Thank you, Kathleen. Do we have, are we moving towards the counselors? Have we heard any update on counselors?
We have not heard any update. We know that the state is establishing a rubric. As I told you last month, 896 schools in the state applied for the $20 million. And a meeting I went to last week indicated that if all of the schools were funded for the actual requests that they made, the state would need to have over $50 million to do that. So we know that some schools are going to get denied. We don't know. We will still be reapplying for the federal grant that has to do with rural school safety, but we aren't guaranteed any of those funds either.
Okay, I'm not opposed to it, but can we check? Can we put it on hold and check with Prop 301 and see if that's something that can fund that?
We certainly can.
That's just my opinion. What do you guys feel?
Yeah, I'm okay with checking into that, absolutely, and see what our options are.
Okay, so can we bring that up at the next, can you find that out by the next
Absolutely.
board meeting and then put this on the agenda?
Absolutely.
So we can discuss possible action?
Both of these items?
Yeah, both of them, if that works.
That's fine.
So we're gonna move on to 5.3, approval of Coyote Canyon Art and Music Club. I have questions, I'm sure. Is this for the students that are currently, the students that?
These are the students in Life Academy.
Skills,
in Life Academy, thank you. The teacher is a high school employee and has been very proactive in going out into the community and getting donations,
to help support an art/music club, and has offered and is already, in fact, offering art music club to our life skills students. For many of those students, this is an excellent opportunity for them to express themselves and, work out some issues and whatever. So we're not asking for any stipend or anything. Mr. Barnes is getting donations, and some of those are tax credit donations. Because there is no site council for Bullhead City Elementary School District at Coyote Canyon, and those students are still on the rolls at other schools in the district, I'm just requesting that we approve this club for the purposes, solely for the purposes of us being able to have tax credit donations that will be used specifically for our students at Coyote Canyon, and manage those funds under Desert Valley's site council so they get managed correctly, and that we are legally accepting those tax credit donations.
Okay. Then I'll move we approve item 5.3.
Second.
Diane Beardsley,
Yes.
Corey Burgess,
Aye.
Jeannie Borley.
Aye.
Future closing items. We're on to 6.1, future topics. We can bring that one back up that you already made notes on.
Right, we'll bring up what you've already said. Are there other things? We do know that that next month we have superintendent's evaluation. That's part of an executive session. And then I had asked you to consider for January a workshop that's solely related to curriculum and instruction and our test scores and those kinds of things that Mrs. Lott and I would put together for you. Other than that, whatever you all would like for future topics, we'll address.
I have no others right now.
Okay, thank you.
6.2, upcoming board events. Any upcoming, if anybody's going to the
If
ASBA.
anybody wants to go to the ASBA convention in December, I will be going, and I probably should have had approval for that on the agenda. I'm sorry, I'll get that
I
out
thought
to
we
you.
approved that last
Yeah,
time.
they
Maybe you did.
already
Oh, you already moved it.
We've
Okay,
said-
great. That's good.
Okay.
I'm trying to follow all those rules too.
6.3, date and time location for future meeting. We have December 19th at 5 p.m. It's a Thursday, right?
Do you want 5 or 5:30?
Can we do 5:30? I would like 5:30. I don't know what you guys,
5:30 for the workshop?
yeah, and maybe
Do we have workshop topics for next month?
or does 5 work for you guys?
I actually won't be able to make the 19th. I will be on my way to Window Rock.
Ooh, long trip.
Can you do the 18th?
I can see if I can do 18th. I might be down that day too. I'll be in Kingman on the 18th. So, I don't know when else we can meet. I might not be able to make that meeting.
Do you want to,
I mean, it's a light agenda, obviously nobody had anything for it, so if Randy's here.
You might not even need a workshop. I mean, you haven't particularly given us a topic for a workshop for next time, so it would be a fairly short meeting,
yeah.
As long as Brandy's here, we'll.
other than the executive
Right.
session. As long as Brandy's
get
here
a
and we
third,
have
we
a
can-
quorum.
If not, I will just have to do a different date
Yeah.
if she can't make it.
You want to stick with the 19th then?
Yeah, stick with the 19th as long as Brandy's good with it.
Is 5 or 5:30?
5:30 is way better.
Oh, you know what? That's when I'm supposed to be at the annual conference.
Oh.
Sorry. Oops.
And
I leave for that. I actually leave at the end of the day on Monday or whenever. If you have a board meeting that night, I would leave after the board meeting. Because I'm sure you don't want to meet on Friday.
no, Wednesday the
I'm not
18th, you're
home
gone,
weekend.
right?
I leave on Monday night,
Well,
and
the
it's, the
16th.
conference is 17th, 18th, and 19th.
What about the 12th? What about December? No?
I could do the 12th.
I can.
Calendar in front of me. I don't have my calendar. Oh.
week I can do the 11th.
Yeah, I don't think I can do the 12th.
Oh. I'll be in Mingus on the 11th, so that won't work for me.
I can't do the 12th, but I can do the 11th.
The 11th?
You might have to do that one without me too. I'll be in
Okay.
Mingus on the 11th.
We can find out if Brandy will be available, so we have a quorum.
Let's plan December 11th at 5:30.
Thank you. And Madam President, there is nothing for an executive session tonight.
Good. So can I get a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll second.
Diane Beardsley,
Yes.
Corey Burgess,
Aye.
Jean Borland.
Aye.
Adjourned.